with my
Coastal
my
Championship
stuff.
Wrestling here in South Florida. Of course, we started school gym with the legendary Bob Cook and Delicious D here for the great Malenko Cup, the Malenko Cup, first time in South Florida. Bob, Boris Malenko, the great Malenko, what has he meant to you?
Everything. He was like a second father to me. He taught me everything I knew about wrestling. I started in 1981. I was 18 years old. He didn't just teach me about wrestling, he taught me how to be a man. He taught me how to grow up. He helped me grow up. He helped me through my marriage problems, financial problems. He was the answer man. He was the kind of guy that you could walk into a room and talk to him, no matter how you were feeling on that day, whether you were having financial problems, personal problems. When you got done talking to the great Malenko, you felt you could take on the world. That's the kind of man he was. And that's what I remember most about him. And I still hear his voice in my head when I start to make bad decisions or need an answer that I can't come up with on my own. I think back at some of the things he taught me, and I'm going to start crying if I don't stop talking, but I love him and I will never stop loving him. And if the belief that when you die you see the people that you were with when you were on earth, I hope to God he's the first guy I see.
And Bob, you mentioned the great Malenko, the person. What has he meant to Florida wrestling?
He's meant, in my opinion, he's meant as much as Eddie Graham, because they're like hooked together as much as Florida wrestling could be hooked together. When you can talk about a feud that was literally 50 plus years ago, and the real fans of wrestling, I'm not talking about the fly-by-night, overbearing, obnoxious, pig-faced bastards of wrestling fans today that just watch the bitch and moan and complain because they're not happy because things didn't go their way, because you're not the bookers, people. But when the real fans can think back of the cage matches, the chain matches, the death matches, and the believability that they had when they weren't really hurting each other. The art of wrestling was launched with those two in Florida, and we tried our best to keep it going, but you know, Jim Crockett came along. Well, let's not get personal, but the great Malenko, I think he meant everything to Florida, just like Eddie Graham. I mean, Joe Malenko proved that with the wall that he's put up in Tampa, Florida, that I'm proud to be part of. I have my little name in there and picture, thanks to Joe.
Right.
And I don't deserve to be there, but I'm honored that I am. And he meant everything to Florida, and he meant everything to me, and he meant everything to a lot of the guys in this dressing room.
And now that we're having the Malenko Cup,
Right.
what's it like with that? I was talking to Frank a little bit about that, Rey Ayala, just being able to honor him and be involved in this.
I think it's great because you're remembering someone that meant so much to you. I wasn't a fan of the great Malenko when I was a kid because he wasn't wrestling so much in Florida when I started watching. But once I learned who he was and started training under him, honoring him any way we can. I mean, it means the world to me personally, and I know it means the world to Frank Reyes, and I think Joe Malenko appreciates it too, because it keeps his father's name alive for some of these, again, overbearing, obnoxious, pig-faced bastards that don't know the history and wish they should.
That's it.
Wish they
The
did
history.
and should. Like this kid over here, he should know wrestling history. I won't get personal. But the point is, it's great to honor the great Malenko. I've been part of every one, not necessarily in the ring. I'm an idiot. I'm going to go in the ring tonight. But just being part of the Malenko
That's right.
name, being here means a lot to me. So,
All right, Bob, thank you. Thank you, Delicious D. Malenko forever. Thank you, guys.
thank you.